What's going on, guys? I'm Andrew.
I'm Jason.
And this is Movie Source.
Today we're going to be reviewing Iron Man 3.
Alright, so Iron Man 3 came out in 2013. It was directed by Shane Black. I remember when they announced that he was directing this. Obviously, we had Jon Favreau do the first two films. And, when they announced that he was coming back, I guess it was a little bit because Iron Man 2 was not viewed as successful or as good as Iron Man 1. So they wanted to make a little bit of change. And overall, I love what Shane Black did with this film. I know some people, didn't care for this film, but overall, he had a hard job to do and just bringing. I mean, again, also too, you're coming from post Avengers, so that first film, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, it was the first movie off of the first Avengers movie, so it definitely had a tough job of living up to that. And when I first saw this movie, I thought it was okay. I liked it. I wasn't overly excited by it, but watching it again, I actually really do like this movie as a standalone. And it's kind of like The Dark Knight Rises, where it's much more of a Tony Stark film versus an Iron Man film. It really gets into his post-traumatic stress from what happened in New York, like when he went up, in outer space with the bomb and he fell back through. He keeps getting anxiety attacks from that, and just it shows him breaking down a lot. And he's very vulnerable throughout this whole movie.
No, definitely. That's a good comparison right there. And I gotta say, too, as much as I love all the action scenes with Iron Man, I kind of like Robert Downey Jr. when he's just Tony Stark.
Oh, yeah, it shows a lot of that, like when he's breaking into that house and he doesn't have his suit, so he just kind of uses those things that he got from the hardware store.
Yeah, and he's got to use the most prolific tool he's got in his arsenal, his brain.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I love what the theme, too, around, what makes him, calm when he's having those anxiety attacks. He's the mechanic. He's got to build stuff. And I love that theme in this. Like, even when stuff is going crazy for Tony, he can always go back to his roots and build. Because we saw in that amazing sequence where they were showing the history of Obadiah Stane and Tony Stark, he's a mechanic. He builds things. That's all he does. And obviously we've seen in the other films, he's built the Iron Man suits. He builds his own cars. He builds a lot of stuff. So I love that they were theming a lot of stuff around that in this film.
Oh, yeah, and it shows that scene, too, where he's, breaking down, talking to the little kid. And he's like, well, why don't you just build something? And he's like, okay, I will. And he just, goes to the hardware store.
Yeah, man, that kid, by the way, I liked it. I know he's the kid in Jurassic World, right?
Yeah.
I thought he did
he's
a
much
good
better
job.
in this.
And you got to remember, too, that's got to be a little bit intimidating doing some scenes with Robert Downey Jr., so I thought he held his own, and maybe there was one or two times, even though I laughed at every comedic joke from Robert Downey, I thought with the kid there was a couple times he went a little overboard.
Yeah, but
I didn't expect some of the comedic stuff to be in this. I definitely expected the humor to be. It's Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark. You got to imagine there's going to be great humor in this film. And I love just about every joke. It's just some of the jokes saying I am so sorry, I hate working here. These people are weird. It's fun. It's funny. I love that stuff, but it just felt a little out of place. The comedic timing.
I agree with you a little bit. I thought in the very beginning of the movie, it was just hilarious, especially Happy, played by Jon Favreau, who you were just talking about. He wasn't the director, but at least he was still in the movie.
Yes.
And before he gets in that explosion and gets into a coma, he's just hilarious. The flashback in '99, and when he becomes the head of security, I really love Jon Favreau, and even Tony Stark is really funny. I like how they set up the humor early on, because after that they started taking it a different way, when Tony is much more, out of his head and just breaking down and stuff.
Yeah, and also, too, the tones definitely shift a little in the movie. You got the humorous moments in the beginning, and then obviously it gets a lot more serious with the whole Mandarin issue. And obviously what happens with Hogan, that's of course, or Hogan, rather with Happy, that's obviously a very big thing right there, too. And I also we got to talk about the chemistry between Robert Downey and Gwyneth Paltrow, Pepper Potts and Tony Stark. I gotta say, even though I love their chemistry in the first two films and also in Avengers and the little screen time Gwyneth did get, I thought it expanded a lot more and even a lot better in this film. I love seeing them after being in a relationship for a little time. I love seeing dealing with like you said, the PTSD of dealing with the events that happened in the Battle of New York. I like seeing where their relationship has progressed, and also what I love in this movie that they did, that I didn't feel they did a good enough job. Obviously, they're in a relationship, so I'm giving something that's obvious, but they're a lot more open with each other, and they tell each other a lot more things, obviously, because they're in a relationship. But even before that, he even said to her in Iron Man 1, before they were dating, "You're all I got." So, I mean, that's why, I like that this relationship has expanded a lot more, and they can tell each other anything, and I really do buy them as a couple, and I love their chemistry and interaction together. Okay, so the bad guy in this film is played by Guy Pearce, and he's playing Aldrich Killian. Now, I like Guy Pearce. I liked him in Memento. That's that's a phenomenal film, and a couple other films. I'm definitely a fan of his. And look, I'm not gonna. I know Marvel's got this big issue of they don't have the greatest villains. And I'm not going to say this guy is definitely in my top 5 villains, definitely not. But I did enjoy him in the film,
he was good.
I thought in moments when Tony was tied up and stuff, the stakes felt definitely high. I thought he was threatening and menacing towards Tony, and even the scenes where they're fighting each other. Yes, I knew Tony's going to beat him, but I actually felt threatened for Tony in some of those scenes when he's ripping the Iron Man suits and the way he grabs him and the way he just shoots him.
And he's holding Pepper up by the neck too a lot.
Yeah, no, he's definitely, he's not the scariest villain ever that Marvel's had, or even the craziest or evil, like the Kingpin or Kilgrave or Loki or the Winter Soldier or Red Skull. Yes, I just named you my top 5 favorite villains. But still, he's not as good as those villains, but still, he serves a purpose in this story, and I thought for what this story was calling for, I thought he did a good job.
Yeah, I agree, and he's smart too, and he doesn't screw himself over in any way. And I also like how you see him at the very beginning, and he is how he is. He's all kind of crippled and just skittish, and Tony leaves him hanging up on the roof, and then you see his whole transformation into who he's become now.
I agree with you, and I'm glad you mentioned that. I do like seeing him when he was such a weakling at the beginning, and you understand why he's so angry and upset with Tony Stark.
You get his motivation, and it definitely makes sense.
Yeah, and they didn't. And again, there was obviously a little dialogue, but you don't even need dialogue after that. You know immediately why he's upset with Tony and what his purpose is. And I like that whole idea of the extremis. Thing. Yeah. It's a pretty cool, interesting idea where, you can repair, ligaments or whatever after something gets blown off. So,
and breathe fire.
Yeah, no, that was so cool. I love that when Rhodes was stuck in the Iron Patriot suit, and then afterwards he breathes fire out of his mouth. It's like, you breathe fire? I thought that would have been cool just to add that little breathe, at least one more time.
And I thought the scenes with all the other extremist people were cool, like the one fight he had with that girl when they were in Tennessee.
In Tennessee, yeah.
And then how they had to figure out how they were the ones exploding, in at the Chinese theater where Happy was, where he was trying to figure that out. And yeah, after Happy gets put into a coma, basically Tony gets really pissed and he kind of goes off on all the reporters and he gives away his home address, which I know his ego is high, but I thought it was really dumb, if anything, just because he was putting Pepper in so much danger, let alone the rest of his house and all of his work and suits.
And we've talked about this, you and I, look, it is 2013, and I'm sure you can go to Star Maps or find Tony's address somewhere. I get that, but still, I agree with you. And I get it. He was pissed in the moment. His ego took over. I get it.
He was feeling for his friend. That's kind of what made him do it.
And again, Tony's human. He's vulnerable, and I understood it. But again, I found it really hard to believe that a high IQ character like Tony would just give away his address like that. And also, if you're gonna give away your address like that, wouldn't you have some of those Iron Man suits at the house protecting you, ready for those helicopters to strike? I don't know. I just felt it was a dumb plan.
One reason I maybe think people didn't like the villain that much is because it wasn't really the Mandarin, and a lot of people were really pissed about that. And I mean, I kind of was expecting the Mandarin because that's how they played it up in the trailers. But they kind of twisted it around a little bit, which I didn't really have that much of a problem with. And I thought Ben Kingsley was hilarious when he was playing Trevor Slattery. Man, he was so funny. He did such a good job of just playing a buffoon, a drunk idiot.
Yeah.
But
no, I agree with you. The grunt of the hate of this film in particular is that the Mandarin, Ben Kingsley, is not really the Mandarin. He's Trevor Slattery, an actor just pretending to be the Mandarin that Killian,
he's the real brains.
Yeah, he's using him so that way that's going to be the face of who the real evil is, and that way Killian can do whatever the hell he wants. It's actually a pretty interesting plan.
Oh, it's really smart. Go ahead.
Sorry, well, what I was going to say is, like Jason said, I truly understand why so many people, especially diehard fans of the Mandarin. I'm a big fan of the Mandarin in the comics, of the Ten Rings. I love all that storyline, and I agree. I would have loved to have seen Ben Kingsley be the real Mandarin in this.
Well, especially when they set it up in Iron Man 1, when they say he's kidnapped by the Ten Rings.
Yeah, the Ten Rings. No, definitely. I would have loved to have seen it. If that's the direction they would have went, I would have praised it. That being said, I understand why they did this twist, and I didn't mind it as much. Because, and again, from the marketing, that's why I would get why people would be so pissed, because they were expecting something that they'd been thrown down. This is the Mandarin. He's going after Tony. I get why everyone's mad. I really do. Me personally, it just didn't bother me as much. And in fact, in the story, I thought it worked, and I thought it was a clever little twist.
It was a nice twist, and it made Killian's character much more compelling.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna lie though. At the end, when he's like, "I am the Mandarin," to Tony, I was like, "No, you're not the real Mandarin," because we also see in that one that one shot, rather, what it's called, "All Hail the King." I love that short with it's more of Ben Kingsley. He's and you'll never see me coming. Like, he's so funny, and he's actually entertainment for the prisoners because they know he's just an actor. So. Yeah. But basically what we see in there is we got Wally from Batman v Superman, the guy who loses his legs. He tells Ben Kingsley in the cell, he kills a bunch of the guards and tells them you stole the real Mandarin's name, and he's mad and he wants you now, like he wants you dead now, and he wants his name back. So Marvel did kind of like, they did a little damage control. They did a little damage control and addressed it and said, no, the real Mandarin is out there somewhere. So at some point, I'm not gonna lie, I really would like the real Mandarin to be in, like, maybe Thanos brings him in at the end of Infinity War, maybe he comes in Phase 4, whatever. I would at some point like to see the real Mandarin, and I feel maybe at some point too, like, fans would accept that, and not be as pissed if they do get the real Mandarin. But I'm not gonna lie though, Ben Kingsley as the Mandarin would have been incredible. That being said, him as Trevor Slattery, hilarious. It was so funny.
Just because you weren't expecting it too, it just came out of nowhere. I was like, what? That's so funny.
And I'm not gonna lie, sometimes in movies I do like to be shocked. Obviously not shocked for the bad, but I thought it was a funny, good twist that made a lot of sense for this particular story. So that's why I didn't mind it as much in particular. We definitely, obviously, in an Iron Man film, we got to talk about the action in this film. Now, I thought the visual effects, obviously, whenever he's doing his stuff on the screen at home, all those visual effects are incredible. I love the Mark 42 suit. I know it's not the normal red and gold color, but I thought it was a cool suit. I liked it. But just in general, the action in this film, I thought it was really good. Obviously, we don't get a ton of time with him in the Iron Man suits, as we said earlier in the review. He's more Tony Stark in this film, but the scenes we do get of him as Iron Man, I thought those were really well choreographed action scenes, and they actually made sense of the story. And one of my favorite ones, I think, if it's not the climax, I'd say in Air Force One, when all the 13 passengers get thrown out of the airplane. And he's got to go save them. I thought, and he makes a joke of it, like, remember the monkey barrel game? I thought that was really funny, making a funny moment in such a dire situation. That was really funny. But I like how again, we see Tony's resourcefulness and how smart he is in such a dire situation. Because Jarvis tells him, he says, "How many in the air?" 13. "How many can I carry?" 4. And then, like, he grabs him and then just does the monkey barrel plan. I thought it was a great action scene, and I thought it was a really, like, just the way it was smart.
And he's doing that all from the boat. He's doing it remotely, which I thought was cool too, because then you see the suit fly into the truck and it explodes. You're like, wait, what?
Boy,
and
that came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And like you said, you thought that he was actually in the suit, so that was a clever little twist they did there.
Yeah, and then even at the end, I thought the action was really sick. And even in that fight, he's not really in one particular suit for that often. He keeps kind of going in and out of different suits, and suits get destroyed, and he jumps out of another one when Killian has him, and he, like, ejects out of it. This really is a full-on Tony Stark movie where he is Iron Man, but really not that much.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. In that action sequence, it's awesome at the end. I also, too, I like James Rhodes. He's got some cool shots in there, too.
And they have good banter between them, too. Oh, dude, pretty funny.
Yeah, no, I mean, even in the second movie, I really enjoyed their relationship. I enjoyed
this one was more,
it just expanded so much more. You get more of that friendship, more of that banter. Also, do that one scene where they're in the restaurant, and then Tony goes out to his all their scenes together, I love their interaction together. And too, when he shoots the light bulb, he's like, "You can't hit a light bulb from here," and then he gives him that look.
Yep.
They have such great chemistry together, such good interaction. I love Rhodey in this. I love Don Cheadle as Rhodey. Again, just that sequence at the end, I thought it was really... Dude, by the way, when every time I watch that climax, when I see them on that big rig, it always reminds me of Lethal Weapon 2, that climactic scene at the end. But yeah, getting back to this, it's a very...
And there's also that scene, where you think Pepper dies when she falls off.
Literally just about to say
and then she comes out of nowhere and she saves Tony's ass and then kicks Killian's ass, so...
Yeah.
No, it was interesting. I mean, I was like, shit, is Pepper a superhero now? Does she just know how to do all this shit? Which she kind of does. She, like, kicks the bullet and then shoots it like he did before. But, I mean, does putting that stuff in her just make her actually a legit, like, good fighter now?
Well, yeah, I mean, but we saw that all the extremis soldiers, they were a lot stronger than they originally were.
Yeah, definitely stronger,
so,
but I mean, she was very coordinated in her fighting.
Yeah, that didn't bother me too much at the end, that she had more power and was able to bring the Iron. That was okay.
I mean, she looks sick doing it, so
yeah.
I'm not gonna complain that
Yeah,
much.
no, definitely, I agree.
And then they have that whole sequence at the end where you see she's like, "Oh, I cleared everything up with Pepper," just kind of addressing that, and then you say, "Oh," and then he gets surgery where he gets the shrapnel taken out of him, so they kind of address that, possible issue. So.
And obviously when we do the review of Avengers Age of Ultron, we will get into detail on what I'm about to say right here. I thought like it was an interesting ending, him blowing up all the suits. In my personal opinion, I don't think they addressed, and again, not criticizing this film, in Age of Ultron, I just did not think they addressed the ending of this in any way, because he's literally just back in the Iron Man suit and back in with the soldiers.
Well, at the end of this movie, he just says back to square one, so it doesn't mean he's just not making suits anymore, he's just making new suits.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know why necessarily he blew up all these other ones. Like they're all different. I thought they were all sick in this movie. I wanted to see some more of them, but I guess he did, in the beginning of Ultron, he has those those other.
Yeah, well, in your question, you're saying why did he do it? Is because that's the only way he felt he could be with Pepper is if he was away from distractions like with the Iron Man suit. Yeah. So I got that from that, but. Yeah. Overall, I enjoyed this film. It's definitely not in my top 5 Marvel favorite films. In fact, we're going to be doing at some point after the Captain America Civil War review, and we will be giving you guys 3 reviews, a non-spoiler review, a spoiler review, and a scene-by-scene breakdown where we give you a full analyzation of the entire film. On top of that, we're also going to be doing at some point in between those reviews, we're going to be giving you guys our top, I believe, 12 Marvel films that have been 12 or 13. 12 or 13. We're going to give our top list.
Our ranked order of
Marvel
films.
And we're going to go from bottom to last or top to bottom, whatever. But we're going to give you our full list and why we think that's our list. So definitely be on the lookout and subscribe for that if you want to see that. But getting back to this, I enjoyed this movie. It's good. It's fun. Definitely the comedic humor was perfect in this film, or not perfect, was good in this film, but a little off timing in some scenes. The tone shifts, I like the tone in this movie. Definitely a few tone shifts I would have liked a little more focus on, but overall, it was an enjoyable film. I thought Shane Black did a very commendable job for what he was given. I'm going to give Iron Man 3 a 7.8 out of 10.
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed this movie. I actually liked it more since seeing it back when it first came out in theaters. It's not my favorite of the Marvel Cinematic movies, but I definitely enjoyed it. I'm going to have to give this movie a 7.5. Alright guys, well that's going to do it for this video. Let us know what you think about this movie in the comments section, and if you like these videos, you can hit the subscribe button.
See you guys next time.